Good morning. This is John with the Springs Mennonite Church. Here I am again, and I hope you're having a great day. I know I keep saying that, but I really mean it. I just think God wants us to have great days every day. And some of us get close to that, and others of us don't ever get very close. So I want to encourage you this morning to think about what's God doing in your life? What can He do in your life? And the passage I've chosen for today continues with what I've been talking about in Matthew chapter 5 and now chapter 6. And it's a really good passage. Of course, maybe all of the Bible is a really good passage, but this one really kind of tells us who we are, not who we want to be, not who we think we are, not who we like others to think we are, but who deep down inside we really are. So let's look at Matthew chapter 6, beginning with verse 19. Don't store up treasures here on earth, Jesus says, where moths eat them and rust destroys them, and where thieves break in and steal. Store your treasures in heaven, where moths and rust cannot destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal. Wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will also be. Now, I've heard this passage explained in what I would call well, a legalistic way. Do not store up treasures on earth. And I've heard it said that means you can't have savings accounts, you can't have extra income, you shouldn't build up any kind of retirement stuff. That's not what God wants. Well, obviously, Jesus didn't do that, but Jesus lived in a different world than we live in. It's I think it'd be kind of hard to live exactly from day to day the way Jesus did. But okay, I'll grant you that maybe it's possible. But I don't think that's what the spirit of this passage is about. It says, don't lay up treasures on earth where moss and rust can consume them and where thieves can steal them. And there's a lot of truth in that. I remember when I was a younger boy, one of my aunts got into antique collecting. Now, I'm not talking about the little stuff. She got into the really expensive antiques. I remember one time she bought what was one of, I want to say, six or seven Louis IV desks still available in the world. She bought really expensive antiques and filled her house with them, which I thought was kind of weird because you couldn't use them. And when I was going over there, you're not even allowed in those rooms. But that's what she did. And then I guess all of a sudden she got to thinking, well, what if somebody steals them? So she had her husband put in an alarm system, a security system. Now, back in those days, the security systems weren't all that sophisticated. Excuse me. And, and I remember they had their security system tied to my dad's phone. They lived next door. And every time my uncle got up in the middle of the night, he'd set off the security system, which would ring at my parents' house and ask them to call the police. And it got comical after a while because, lots of us get up in the middle of the night. That's not unusual. But this alarm system that detected motion, it kept driving my parents nuts. And many times they would get a phone call that says the security system has been turned on, and something's wrong, call the police. And then just a couple minutes later, my uncle would say, hey, just forget it. I set it off again. And it went on like that for years. Now, I can laugh about it. It wasn't funny to my mom and dad, though it was kind of funny. But it was based on the fact that my aunt wanted things that described who she was. You see, the key to understanding this verse is the very last sentence. And I think many of you have heard it. Whatever wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will also be. A lot of people, their heart is in their things, in their position in society, in their reputation. Their heart is most concerned about earthly things, material things, things that don't last. I mean, it doesn't really matter how much money you have. When you leave this earth, you're not taking it with you. You're really not. When you came into this earth, you didn't have anything, and when you leave it, you won't have anything either. So, what do you do with that stuff that you have in the meantime? Jesus is talking about not allowing things to rest in your heart. I have things. I have more things than I need, to be honest. I keep trying to give some of them away, but I keep collecting things, particularly like tools for the shop. I might use them one time. In fact, the other day I picked up something I got 10 years ago. I've never used it. But the reason I justified it is because at that moment I needed it. And I thought, yeah, that's right. Now I know why I got it. I don't know. And so I keep trying to collect things, but at the same time, I don't want that to be who I am. So I try to give things away too. Uh, if I buy some new clothes, I give some away. Now, I'm not saying you have to do it that way, but for me, I decided I don't want clothes to be the essence of who I am. So Jesus is saying here, don't allow things that are of this world take over your heart. If you have lots of things, fine. Give them away. Most of us could give away half of what we have and still have more than enough left over. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying you got to go out and do that. If God puts it on your heart, then fine. But I'm not going to suggest that. You talk to God, see what He wants you to do. But the point of this passage is when we build up our treasures on this earth, all they're going to do is deteriorate, fall apart. But when we build our treasures in heaven, goodness and compassion and love and kindness and sharing, when we build those things up, well, they will take over our heart and they will guide our lives. So the question today is, what's guiding your life? I hope it's what Jesus talked about. And if it's not, okay, you can change it. You're not stuck where you are. So thanks for listening. I hope you have a really great day. If you have a prayer concern or a need, let us know. We'll do everything we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. So until next time, God bless you. I'll talk to you again.